Content over everything!
You know, I get it, I know, but I wouldn't defend the fiat
the
from the government. I would only defend gold. So if you're going to attack modern money, I'm not going to defend that. Because I think it should be on a gold standard, even though it isn't fully.
So you're going to value it on the rarity of another object?
It's not the rarity of it. Like, oh look.
Well, the only reason gold has value is because it's rare.
No, it's not. It's because it's actually genuinely useful in jewellery and machinery.
If you took all of the gold that there is, if you took all of the gold that there is in the world at the moment, and you melted it down and poured it into an Olympic-sized swimming pool, it probably wouldn't fill it.
Yeah. No, it obviously has to be rare just so that it's easily transported. No. Such a small amount of it has such a high value, but it does have value. It has
to be rare in order for it to have a value, in inverted commas.
No, potatoes, say, rice in bags or whatever can be quite common relative to something like gold, but it can still have value. Gold just has more value per unit weight, which makes gold more useful as a currency.
Rarity.
Because of its rarity and its usefulness.
Right. Because of its rarity,
but something needs to be both rare and useful. Because if it was simply rare, then you could just say.
Thank you very, very much.
Then you could just say, like, I don't know, your beard is really rare, and it is really rare in the whole world. It's unique, except you know it has to be useful. So it has to be both rare and useful to be valid, to be useful as a currency. Otherwise, you just say, just like with those shell money and everything. It's like, oh look, it's rare and fancy, but it's completely useless unless you care about the ornaments of it, which I don't. Well, whereas something like gold is both rare, like these rare shells, but also useful.
We found uses for it. Its uses in olden days were just to make statues out of and make jewellery out of, which we considered valuable.
Yeah.
Same diamonds. Diamonds are only valuable because they're rare, but they're only rare because half of the diamonds that get mined get dumped at sea. So De Beers and other people like that mine the diamonds know that if there are too many diamonds in the market, the value drops, therefore they dump them at sea to keep the value high. So long as you kind of going along with a bunch of con men who are pretty much ripping everything off.
If someone is selling you something of value, like, you know, that pastry, then they're not ripping you off, they're not a con man. If you remove the gold or whatever, and I literally grew an apple, and he made a pastry.
You can't grow an apple.
If I planted and tended an apple tree and then harvested the apple, transported the apple, and then traded it for a pastry which a guy made from the corn and milk and everything which he raised, then we're not ripping each other off, and we're not con men. We both understand the trade.
But we are ripping off all of life by saying that piece of land that I plant the apple tree on is mine.
Well, you're taking ripping off out of the context of humans and applying it to non-humans.
Because I can't help it. Because I think life isn't just about humans. I think life is about life. It's about all of it, not just humans. And us humans have got this real big problem in our heads that it's all about us. And it's so not all about us.
But the point is, how far do you take the principle of harming other life? You know, say there's, you know, say you had to walk across the grass to get somewhere. Aren't there going to be point? And you know that for that pastry to be produced, either corn or wheat or millet or something had to be cut out.
How about if there's a way of living where we give the natural world back to nature, and man's world doesn't inflict upon nature in a manner that's detrimental to life?
Except it's detrimental to some living organisms. If you're gonna, even if you're a vegan or whatever, and you harvest. You know, unless you're just a fructivore or whatever, but even then you're not letting the fruit go and be planted. But I mean, whatever. But ultimately, you're going to be killing some things, some individual organisms, and even if you go, oh, I'm going to treat that plant well, continue to tend it, you're going to be treading on bacteria, and you're going to be, you know, you're going to brush your teeth, and that's going to kill some bacteria.
At the moment, the way that man lives is detrimental to all of life. And man is part of all of life.
No, but I'm saying, I'm not talking about all of life, I'm talking about individual organisms. I'm saying surely, in no matter what idealistic society you envision, there's going to be a point at which you kill another living organism, intentionally or not.
Yeah. Even if we go to the point where we're growing fungus to live on,
yeah,
that fungus is a living organism. This body needs nutrients in some form.
Yeah, and so what I'm saying is...
Potentially we could get to the point where we're replicating everything, as in generating it out of minerals, but
that's dubious.
Get the feeling it's a bit dubious.
Yeah, but so ultimately, so there's a point in which it's your survival, or you're doing something to destroy something else. You know, when you breathe things in, they go into your lungs, white blood cells in your lungs destroy these bacteria.
Yeah. The Jain religion, they walk around with the strict Jains walk around with masks on so that they're not breathing in bugs, and they use very soft brushes to brush the floor that they're about to walk on.
And the point is, at what point, when you have a decision like that, and you had to survive or whatever, do you say, I'm going to let him live and I'm not going to do anything, I'm not going to move forwards because I'll step on a bacterium, or I'm just going to die? Your life versus theirs.
At what point do you say, I'm going to move forwards, rather than I'm going to carry on perpetuating something that is taking us backwards? Whereas if I perpetuate something perpetuate something that's taking us backwards, and I find pleasure in it, then that's absolutely fine for me to absolutely fuck everything over, because I gain pleasure from it. Whereas if I actually advance and go forwards, I could be in a place where I'm living sustainably in an environment that is sustainable.
But if you're just talking about all life as a value, and therefore all living organisms as a value, then surely there comes a point when you're going to kill another living organism in order to live. And so, you know, if you how do you draw the line between the value of your life and the value of another organism's life?
You try and put it so that the point where you're not wiping out all the other living organisms.
No, but you're talking about all, but I'm talking about an individual organism. It's you and another individual organism.
So it's like the microbe.
It's you and
the microbe that I'm breathing in when I'm breathing.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you kill yourself, you know, or
to stop myself from killing that microbe?
Hold your breath forever until you die, stop yourself killing the microbe, you know, or do you breathe in the microbe and assert yourself?
You do a damage limitation. You say there's a certain amount that I can't help doing damage to when I'm, for instance, if I'm walking across the grass, I will be treading on some of it occasionally. Whereas if I'm driving a large vehicle across the grass, I will be making a track that wide across all of it. Whereas if I'm driving a tank across the grass, I'll be making a track that wide across all of it. Now, me walking,
isn't that breaching the principle of
walking across it is less damaging than me driving across it. I'm putting less of a footprint on the ground, and I'm poisoning everything that life needs less by walking.
Your death is even more beneficial. If it's just the other life having value, then your death is surely, you know, necessary if it contributes to the other life forms.
Well, I hope that my life will be useful to all of life when I die. Yeah, I don't like the idea of being cremated, because to poison the planet in order to dispose of a body. I'm saying
if your principle is that all these other life forms are so important, then by what right can you even, with minimal damage limitation, step on one single piece of grass? Isn't that just a complete breach of principle? You're breaching the principle of that life having value.
When I was on a road protest, we were putting tree houses up in the trees to try and protect the trees. While we were putting the tree houses in the trees, even though they were going to be cut down by the people that wanted to build the road, we tried never to break a twig, never to do any damage to the tree as we put it in. We tied our tree houses in, we used padding to stop the ropes from digging into the tree. We did it as carefully as we possibly could.
What kind of trees were they? What kind of tree? What was important about the trees?
What's important about the trees?
I guess, yeah, okay, fine. Oh no, I was talking about those specific trees as opposed to others. But.
They were a few hundred years old, oak trees,
Okay.
Oak and ash. But
yeah, so you
big,
protected
big
them.
old trees.
But yeah,
we were
tried
to protect them.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't succeed in protecting them because they were cut down. An oak tree, a mature oak tree, sustains the life of probably 500, 600 different species of animal, as in many of each. So what we were trying to do was put our lives in the way to try and stop.
Yeah, but the point is, by what right did you then eat a piece of corn or something, or eat or step on a piece of grass? By what right did you claim that that's possible?
At the moment, I don't claim it's possible. At the moment, I claim that everything we farm, we're farming on stolen land. Everything that we do, we're doing to the detriment of all of life. I would like to see in my lifetime us living sustainably.
Yeah, but
us living in a way.
You're still kill some living organisms. That's the point.
Right.
And by what right can you kill any living organism? By what principle can you kill anything according to this?
Can I say something here? I think consciousness is like an exponential line, and we evolved from the Homo erectus about 250,000 years ago, so they say. And I think the consciousness that we now have has been an exponential. And I think that's the same with what we choose to say is life and what we choose to say isn't life. Now, at this present moment, we do not have any other materials to sustain us other than fruits and vegetables and things like that. But in time, hopefully the scientists and consciousness will develop to the point where they will be able to maybe, I don't know, but I'm just using this as an example, take rock and somehow extract from the rock.
But you'll still be using land where plants could have lived.
Well, I'm sure that it's not possible to be born and not damage anything for the whole of your life. It's just not possible. You may as well say flap your arms and fly to the moon. It's just not going to happen. You can spend your life doing it.
One is why walk on eggshells?
What do you mean by walk on eggshells?
Why be so hesitant to kill anything? I mean, you tell a hunter-gatherer not to hunt and gather, it's probably inconceivable.
Do you not think it's a point of consciousness where if you're conscious of actually killing something, that would make it wrong. If you're not conscious of killing something, then it doesn't matter, I suppose. I understand that the microbe.
What is understanding that you're killing something to your own benefit, like an animal?
There's a sector.
Why does that make it wrong?
There's a sect of Buddhists that they believe that to treat an animal when it's injured is wrong, because in treating the animal, the wound, you will be killing bacteria. So they allow the animal to either get better naturally or to suffer and die. And that's what they believe. Somewhere deep inside me I know that's wrong. I don't have the argument to go with that feeling, but I just know it's wrong. And perhaps that's part of the exponential life of consciousness. And one day man will have the argument to go with that.
Well, probably it's because you see the bird as more like yourself than the bacterium, so you value the bird more as a reflection of yourself.
You could be right. You could be right. You could be right. Maybe there is some psychological.
But otherwise, it's not really a proof. And although you may have the unidentified feeling for it, it's no way to convince anyone else, because you can't provide them a reason. You can't provide someone a reason to not. You can't provide the hunter-gatherer with a valid reason not to go and kill animals or harvest.
Not the hunter-gatherer.
Plants.
Not the hunter-gatherer.
Or maybe.
No.
Maybe. If you go up to the hunter-gatherer and you say, you've been doing really well with hunter-gathering, but there's only 15 of this type of creature that you really like to eat left. If you catch and kill and eat all 15 of them, there'll be none left, there'll be none left for your children, there'll be none left for the future.
Yeah.
But if you can change what you're eating for a little while, you can help that population of 15 grow into a population that's self-sustaining again, and then your children will be able to eat them.
And then they'll eat them, and then they'll still kill some of them.
Yes.
And so some of them will be killed.
But you'll be able to perpetuate the species, you'll be able to keep them alive.
Yeah, but you're only justifying keeping them alive in order to feed yourself, which is actually from the selfish viewpoint.
This is from your selfish viewpoint, which I'm taking.
Yeah, no, but you're not keeping them alive indefinitely for their own sake.
For me, I know full well that if I go and kill a rhino or an elephant and I take its tusks or its horn, I can get loads of money, and therefore I can use that money to buy myself a nice big house in the country, and I can have everything I want. I can drive my racing car, I can fly my aeroplane, because I can make loads and loads of money on it. So why shouldn't I go and do it? That's your perspective. Because happiness is the pursuit that you're after. For me, the pursuit that I'm after is the fact that I've still got elephants wandering around the plains when I die. When I die, I'd like there's still to be rhinos. I'd like there still to be all of the life that's here on this planet.
Have you ever seen an elephant in the wild?
No. I have never seen an elephant in the wild.
So it's not like you're sort of making a safari park for your own pleasure. That's the point. You're doing it for their sake, not for your own sake, in a sense.
No, I'm doing it for my own sake. The bit of me that's dodo is already missing.
What do you mean, sorry? The bit of me that's
dodo? The bit of me that is dodo is already missing.
Yeah, but what do you mean by that, sorry?
I'm saying that we are a reflection of our environment. And the more depleted, the debased our environment is, the more depleted and debased we are and we become. The society that we're living in at the moment has an awful lot of violence.
Much less than hunter-gatherer societies. I guess, okay, you said you were going to go beyond that, sorry, yeah.
Ideally, we go beyond it. Ideally, we learn how to grow, and we learn how to do this really weird thing called evolving. But
you're still killing things. And
do you not see that trying to explain to a hunter-gatherer the philosophy of don't kill is stupid, because it is his way of life. The hunter-gatherer being 7,000 years ago.
Well, and still existing.
Pardon?
And still existing.
And still existing in some parts of the jungles and things like that. You're absolutely right.
In very remote areas, there's still hunter-gatherer cultures.
But the majority of us have developed to a point where we can farm the land, and we can get we don't need to go out hunting and gathering and things like that. We can farm the land. What's it called?
Agriculture.
Agriculture, that's a good word, yeah. That's actually right. And we've developed that so we can, we don't have to do these things. In 1,000 years' time, 10,000 years' time, maybe there's going to be more of a consciousness of the brain. At the moment they say we have 10%. 10,000 years we may have 11%, and so on and so forth. Maybe our consciousness will become bigger and bigger and
What's
bigger.
the point here?
The point is that in them times we may have the technology to progress to that point of not killing absolutely anything.
Yeah, but at what point have you developed a reason? The hunter-gatherer's only reason for preserving something, or the selfish person's reason, is because it's to their own interests. The point is, what's your justification for saying not only protect the elephants because the elephants keep a water hole for you or whatever, or they destroy the trees, which makes better grasses, which allows for more gazelle or whatever, but not for your sake, simply for their own sake. What's the reason that you can offer someone to act not for their own sake?
What's the reason to not be completely selfish and to say, actually, there's the bigger self? And if you look after the bigger self, then you're looked after. But if you only look after your little self and it's all me, then fuck everything else. And you do fuck everything else, and there's nothing left at all.
Well, not if you only sustain that which you want and which is necessary for your lifespan.
But we don't sustain anything, do we?
Well, we sustain cattle.
No, we don't.
Well, we do.
No, we don't.
There are many cattle in the world.
Yeah, there are many cattle in the world, but it is completely unsustainable the way that we farm.
Yeah, but there will continue to be cattle
until the lack of sustainability means that there aren't any cattle anymore.
But if it's beyond your lifespan,
what does it matter?
Yes, that's the point.
Right.
What reason can you provide them?
Can I give you a reason? Can I give him a reason?
I just want to throttle him.
No, he's an intelligent man.
It'll give me lots of pleasure. It'll give me pleasure, and he says that I should go in the pursuit of pleasure.
He's presenting a very logical part. And this is what I think.
He's not.
We are at the present moment venturing out into the stars and our solar system with a view to go into other solar systems.
But we can't live sustainably.
Presumably looking for planets in them solar systems that will sustain life, us.
Yeah.
So that we can go.
And when they're found?
When they're found, we go there and we live there and whatever. Now, with the mindset we have today, and we arrived on that planet, if our mindset doesn't change and we develop the technology to fly towards the solar system, when we arrive there and intelligent life doesn't look like us, which there's a very good chance it won't, as we developed from the ape branches way back when. Other life forms, intelligent life forms, may have developed from the reptilian line, and they may have on their skin, instead of having a smooth skin like we've got, they may have evidence of their reptilian ancestry, and they may have scales. Yeah. They may have a different shape.
So
the point is that when we get to that planet, if intelligent life looks like a turkey and it's December the 25th and we have a tradition of eating turkey, that intelligent life is not going to be happy, as we wouldn't be happy if intelligent life came here and it was their tradition on the 25th of December to eat bald monkeys. So
then you have a war and you fight,
and the one that's most intelligent wins,
and the one that's most powerful wins.
I think there are some unwritten rules in the universe, and they're in our minds, and we must develop them. And I think as we become more conscious of our subconscious...
Except they're purposeless. They're rules which don't serve you. They're rules which are against you.
No, but how about they serve the universe?
They do serve the universe.
Yes,
but that's no justification.
One of them, I believe, is non-interference. You don't interfere with life, and you allow it to, intelligent life, you allow it to either develop on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, and it will either result in its own destruction, or it will develop into a higher form of life and be welcomed into the galactic families. These are the unwritten laws, and I think that, to quote the Bible, because I think they do it just as well as anybody else, thou shalt not kill. And I think that is a very, very good law. I'm sure you can present the argument.
Well, yes. What's the difference between killing a microbe and killing an elephant? What's the difference between killing a microbe because you're breathing and killing an elephant because you want some money?
Well, one has a brain and a nervous system, and the other doesn't. So I think that's where we should draw the line, where we are now, and say that if it has a brain and a nervous system, it shouldn't be killed. And if it has doesn't have a brain and a nervous system, then we must...
I mean that's fine, and that's where most people draw the line. But it's completely arbitrary. As you pointed out, that in principle, they're both living.
One day we will develop where we can maybe not kill these things. At the moment, with our technology and where we are in our evolution, we don't have that. And so we cannot just suddenly say, realise a principle and say, oh, killing is wrong, including microbes. We cannot live.
Then why should you live?
To develop.
Well, why should you develop?
Because I think that is our destiny.
Evolution has a path.
Just 1 second, let me answer
it's like
that
a forward
question.
motion.
Sorry?
Evolution is like going somewhere.
Yeah.
The idea is it carries on evolving to go somewhere.
Well, no, that's not true.
We don't know
teleological evolution.
We don't know
isn't
the full purpose of evolution.
No, evolution isn't a teleological process.
Explain what you just said, that long word.
Teleological means sort of goal-oriented. Goal-oriented,
right,
purpose-oriented. If I put on my bicycle helmet to go cycling, that's to mitigate some of the damage that would happen in an accident or whatever. It's purposeful. Right. But evolution is just a product of, there being variation, different organisms being able to survive differently and so on.
Right.
It's not teleological. It doesn't have to have some long-term end.
Right.
It just happens.
And you can present the argument to go along with that.
Yes.
Yes.
Because you don't know what the long-term end is.
You can also present the
argument. Because there's no one, and apart from humans, if humans determine an end, that's one thing, like artificial selection, like breeding of animals, that with an end in mind. Apart from that, there is no God, so there is no conscious being with an end in mind to direct a teleological process. So it's not teleological, it just happens.
Evolution just happens?
Yes.
You sure?
Apart from in cases of human
Can you
artificial
explain
selection.
the sudden explosion of the modern human from Homo erectus to Homo sapiens? Can you explain that?
No.
We started off with a brain this big and we ended up with a brain that big. All of a sudden. Can you explain that?
No, but you can.
Now in evolution it is quite possible that could have happened, but we would still very much be in that development. But 250,000 years ago, so the experts say, and I'll take their word for it for the sake of argument, we suddenly appeared. What is the explanation for that?
The fact that when organisms breed, there's variation amongst their kin.
I understand, but
and then some survive and some don't.
From 700 cc to 1400 cc would take millions of years. It happened.
What do you mean it would take millions of years? But how are you basing that?
The development from
but what are you basing that on that from? It's like me going, for a tree to grow it has to take 1,000 years. It's just arbitrary.
Paleontologists could explain it far better than what I can.
To say that it takes millions of years.
They take a skeleton that is 5-6 million years old, and they give it a name, Lucy. And they say
but this isn't based on anything. This is just conjecture about how long you think humans should have taken to evolve.
Yes. Now, can I just say something here? Lawyers practice, and I forget the name of it now. You may be able to help me out. Where they practice arguing two arguments. That is one for a subject and one against a subject. And there is a name for this, and I have forgotten what it is. Both arguments are as powerful as each other.
That's not possible.
Well, according to the lawyers.
No. But I mean, if realistically, if you just want to be showy and convince whichever fools you want to convince, then of course you can have a great display over there and convince Islam, have a great display and convince Christianity, have a great display, convince atheism, but it doesn't mean it's true.
No.
And I would be talking about truth, not about convincing a jury or a judge or whoever.
I understand.
Which is what the lawyers are doing.
Right.
Can I... If we're going to go into space, we're going to travel vast distance between planets to find a new planet on a different solar system somewhere else, we're going to have to find a way of living sustainably. Because if we can't find a way of living sustainably, we're not going to be able to do it. At the moment, as a race, we're living completely unsustainably here on this planet. Wouldn't it be a really good idea to learn how to live sustainably here before thinking about going somewhere else?
Yes.
That'd be a good idea.
Of course.
But that means thinking about the future.
Yes.
And it means thinking about future generations. Doesn't it?
Not necessarily.
Well,
think about the future for yourself, yeah.
How about if to live sustainably is going to take more than one lifetime to realise?
Well, then you could do it. You could reserve a piece of land for the end of your lifespan, in order that when you sell it in your retirement or whatever, and then it gets passed on to sort of, you know, a young family or whatever, it's better for them.
I still don't.
It's just like with the redwoods that take loads of years to grow in California, you know, they're long-term investments, and you know they're sold and their value rises as they age.
But they don't buy and sell the land, and they don't trade it.
Well, they do trade trees, and they sell them.
Trees don't buy and sell the land. Trees don't trade for the land.
No, but I'm saying that there could be a purpose.
Man does.
Of long-term.
Man does, because he's got this mindset that says that things that have no value have value, and things that are truly valuable are there to profit on.
No, I'm saying that there can be a selfish justification for sustaining something beyond or to the end of your lifespan, simply because then its value will be higher, so you can sell it at a higher price.
But at the end of your lifespan,
rather than just using it
of your lifespan, it matters not a job, because you can't take anything with you.
Not at the end of your lifespan, but like in your retirement or your old age or whatever. I'm saying to have preserved it to that point well, rather than used it up too much.
So it's really worthwhile preserving the value system that we have in order to.
No, I wasn't talking about value system. I'm just talking about, you know, houses, farms, banks, that kind of thing.
That's part of the value system we have.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant philosophical.
Whereas I'm saying that actually most of that is invalid. It's debilitating our ability to have a future. It is unsustainable and therefore isn't going to sustain in the long run. Whereas if we were aiming towards going somewhere sustainable, it would make a lot more sense. So if we've got any kind of logical reasoning in here, then we should be looking towards having a sustainable future, which means trying to look after it.
Okay, I mean, I disagree that it's unsustainable, but that's enough for me.
You disagree that it's unsustainable?
Yeah.
I enjoyed your album. Yeah.
Be safe.
Yeah. He was quite intelligent.
I'm still stuck on this idea of.
Being on the camera.
I can't understand the idea of just living for the pleasure in the now.
Yes.
And not actually having any consideration for the future.
Content over everything. Content over everything. From your melody. Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to I.
What do you reckon to this Leicester explosion? You know, they've announced the names of the 3 guys that they've arrested. All Muslim names, and they're all from around the country. They're not all like local people.
They're not local,
but they're not like saying anything about what's behind it.
I didn't read much about it.
I smell a rat.
Someone said, why is it that the police seem very reluctant to arrest people around here as well? From a certain group of sector people that they know have been violent.
You know, there was a chap who punched a tank.
Yeah, the Mahmood guy.